Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Spending Time with Gregory. And I wanted to come to you this morning. I was thinking about my video diary, and I wanted to talk about who is your mentor? Who is your mentor? And being it's my video diary, I wanted to talk about someone who's been a mentor in my life. And I was thinking about this, and this person, I'm not going to name in the video. I'll put his name in the description, but he's basically changed the trajectory of my life, and has been a part of my life, and everything that I've gone through over the years in different phases of my life, this person has been there. And I was thinking about that last night real deep, and I wanted to have this discussion with you guys. I wanted to, share this part of my diary. When I was young, a little kid playing Little League football and baseball, and my mom was taking me to the park. And I elementary school, middle school, and I remember this just as plain as day. My friend, one of my best friends, his mother had a friend, and he would come to our games, and he would, be a part of the audience, and he came up to me one day and he asked me, he said, what about, how you feel about getting a good education, being a part of a good sports program. But it's a Catholic school, and I'm a Baptist, so not familiar with the Catholicism, the religion at all. I was a Baptist because my mom took me to church every Sunday. So I didn't know how to answer that, so I said, you can speak to my mom. So he came over to the house, and he was telling my mom about me getting a good education and, being able to play sports. I like baseball and football. So I decided to, my mom asked me how did I feel about it, and I said, it sounds like something I would like. It would be something different. And I didn't have a whole lot of, I had a whole lot of male figures in my life, but no one approached me, or I would, knew that was as polished as this guy was. Let me say it like that. I remember as a kid, my mom, the adults that were in my life, male adults that were in my life, my uncles, we would go and on the weekend and visit them in prison, and me, when this guy posed this about going to this Catholic school and getting a good education and he mentioned going to college. I had never heard college in my house. Never talked about college. So I really didn't know what it meant to go to college. So that was an interesting part too. So I ended up going to that school, and that's where I met some friends, and my life kind of changed a little bit then. I played sports, but the friends that I met were, they were into other things, and I kind of got in, I guess you could say peer pressure. I got into other things. At the same time, I played sports. But you know what? I eventually went to college. I remember getting a letter from the college and being accepted at the college, and my family was happy. Everybody was happy. My mom was happy. My uncles were happy. My grandmother was happy. And I ended up going to this college. And after a year and a half of college, I decided to drop out because I was so interested in what was going on in Fort Lauderdale, involved in negative things, drugs and alcohol, and just came home and never went back. Got more into drugs, got more into alcohol. But I remember, I needed help for an addiction. And I decided, I wanted to go to treatment. And they had this state-ran place here in Broward County where you can go and, no money and get treatment for drugs and alcohol. And I remember going to this place, and they were walking up to this place after a night of using drugs, and I walked up, and there were people lined up on the bench, waiting to go into this drug place, this detox. And this was like one of my first times, going to, I dropped out of college, and, now I had this drug problem, and now I wanted to get treatment for it. And so I went to this place. And I remember sitting outside early in the morning waiting for the place to open. And then when it eventually opened, the staff start walking in. And I saw this guy that I knew, my mentor, the person that started the trajectory of my life, introduced me to, a better education, going to college, playing for a good athletic program. He was one of the directors of the treatment center. I didn't know that because, I had lost contact with him. And I went there, and he saw me sitting out there. And he walked up to me and he asked me how was I doing. And I told him my situation. And he said, "Don't worry, just sit down. We're going to take care of you." And I waited outside, and then I came inside, and in a lot of the groups, he was running the groups, but he never came up to me and talked to me about, where all he was concerned about was helping the people that were there and helping me change my life, giving me suggestions on how to maneuver, how to, stop using drugs. But I eventually left that program, and went back to the streets, went back to using drugs again and alcohol. And years went by. And that was the second time this person came into my life and changed the trajectory, because I had never been in treatment. And here he is again, one of the directors of the program, which I did not know, and helped me at that time. Push forward a little bit. I decided to change my life and go to college. Go back to college. So I went back to college, got my bachelor's in psychology, and then I decided I wanted to get a master's in social work because I wanted to help people that were going through the same thing that I went through. So I applied at Nova University. Nova sent my application in, and Nova, after a few months, denied me. They wouldn't allow me into their master's program. Pushed forward a little bit. I was kind of discouraged. I was kind of, why? I'm doing everything right. Why wouldn't they accept me? I'm a student. I just graduated with my master's from St. Thomas University. I'm doing good. Why wouldn't they accept me? And I was kind of discouraged. So I had to go to a family friend of mine's funeral. And my mentor, the person that changed the trajectory of my life, was speaking at this funeral, and I did not know that. And he actually sat next to me, and then he went up and spoke. But we were glad to see each other, and he asked me what was going on with me, and I told him I just graduated with my bachelor's in psychology. I applied at Nova. I was trying to get my degree in master's in social work. They denied me, and he's told me, he said, I have a suggestion for you. When you get home tonight, apply at Barry University master's program and you'll get in. Just apply at Barry's. So I went home, couldn't wait to get home, got on the computer, applied at Barry, sent my online application in. A couple of days later, I get a call from a lady, and I won't say her name, I'll say it in the description, but she gives me a call. She says, Mr. Kemp, we want to accept you into the master's program here at Barry. Here's what I need you to do. I was like, wow. Now, that was the third time my mentor, changed the trajectory of my life. Now, I gave him a call, and immediately I called him and I said, thank you, Barry accepted me, and I'm so happy. Thank you for, letting me know this and giving me this suggestion. I didn't know which way to go, where to go. And again, this person came and directed me in the right direction. And what was so interesting, over the years, we never had phone contact. And he called me a few times and he asked me, how's the program going? Just stay focused. You're coming up on psychopathology. Just, stay focused. I want you to get this, and he gave me encouragement to just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. And I say to you, who is your mentor? This person doesn't know I even make these videos. I'll put their name in the description if they, but I tell them all the time, when I speak to them, that I appreciate them and they changed the trajectory of my life. Who is your mentor today? Guys, have a good day. Help somebody.